Hi, this is Raj Rao, a co-founder of Autonomic, a SaaS Labs company. Uh, Today, the topic is low code or no go, how we can democratize test automation across the enterprise. There are several agenda items here we want to cover today. First, why low code automation is critical for an enterprise. Who is the target user within an enterprise that will consume low code or that will use low code automation to develop automated scripts? We will look at also low code automation use cases and then how low code automation delivers better outcome. We'll take a look at that. And then we can lay out a journey path for low code in an enterprise. Here are some market metrics, compelling market metrics from IDC and Gartner. IDC claims that there are going to be more than 500 million applications that will be developed by 2023. Imagine professional developers or traditional developers supporting all this development. That is not possible. This cannot be done by specialist developers. Gartner also estimates by 2023 there will be 4 times more citizen developers than professional developers in a typical organization. Who are citizen developers? So we're going to take a look at that in a minute. But assume there were appropriate tools, appropriate frameworks, and appropriate methodologies that are available for citizen developers. Perhaps they can help address this gap that we are already seeing in many enterprises where we don't have enough professional developers developing the software. If you're developing custom applications and you're doing agile sprints, one of the common things that we hear is developers are the testers. There is no tester in an agile sprint team in many cases. So developers have to assume the tester persona. And when you look at business applications, SaaS applications, an example would be a Salesforce, Workday, Oracle Cloud applications, or any of those types of applications that support critical enterprise business processes. There are no specialist testers in those teams. There are business users, business analysts, administrators who tend to do a lot of testing. And they do testing manually, repeatedly. And this group of non-professional testers or non-test specialists is termed citizen developers or citizen testers. And in most agile organizations, like I mentioned, developers are the testers. They're responsible for not only developing the code, but they're also testing the application, writing. They basically do the automation scripts and do the testing. And when you think of a typical sprint, we would like to have all of the test automation done during the sprint. So we don't take any test debt from one sprint to the next sprint. This may or may not be possible because if you have to write all the test scripts by hand, this may or may not be possible. So let us see if low code automation frameworks can help us with that. Then we have SMEs and domain users who also are testers and double up as testers. So if think of a SME, a business analyst, a domain expert, a somebody who is a business functional expert, they're also called functional experts. These folks know how a SaaS application like a Salesforce, Oracle, Workday work. They could also be doing they may also be you can also see them in organizations where you have developed your own portals, your own customer specific custom applications for very specific customer needs. These business analysts are also involved in testing, but they're not what we call traditional testers or test specialists. They don't know how to automate scripts using current approaches. So what they end up doing is they end up manually testing and repeatedly manually testing. So this group is what we call citizen testers, right? And they do not have any tools today, any tools and frameworks to automate. So this group knows what to test, but they don't know how to automate those tests. And if there was a magical solution that could take the test intent from these citizen testers and automatically generate the scripts and execute the scripts, which is the low code test automation solutions are capable of doing that. If they have some nice capability like that in their organization, then they will be very successful in achieving the automation goals of an organization. This does several important things. First, it removes what we call test fatigue. Test fatigue is repeated manual testing over and over again. For every change, you have to go do manual testing. That creates test fatigue. And when you have test fatigue, you make mistakes. And defects end up in production, software defects, and then that's a very expensive proposition to fix. So the other thing is the business risk. What happens if the citizen testers, due to fatigue, repeated manual testing, are not able to complete some of the scenarios? You are exposed to that risk. The percentage of coverage and the amount of thorough testing that needs to be done cannot be achieved. That's a business risk. We don't need to do those things. With the low code solution, with the appropriate low code framework in place, you can avoid these business risks. So let us take a look at where we can use low code in a typical organization. We look at least four different use case groupings. One is where you have low code applications developed by low code platforms like an Adobe Experience Manager or Adobe Experience Platform. Uncork is another low code platform that comes to mind. These platforms are able to create applications, custom applications that fits your business needs. And when they generate these applications with a low code approach for a citizen developer, there is also a burden of testing and validating these applications. You have regression test responsibilities, you have end-to-end testing because some of these applications may integrate with other applications. So those are common use cases we see for low-code platforms where you have developed the application using a low-code approach, but now you have to do the testing. So low-code testing matches the low-code developers who developed it, meaning the same type of developers, citizen can cross over and do the testing. Then we see custom applications built by professional developers. So these professional developers are developing custom applications in an enterprise. That needs to be tested as well. The more automation we have for these, the faster the development cycles can be. So regression test automation and end-to-end testing is also another element we see in the custom applications domain, developed by professional developers. Then if you look at SaaS applications, there is an endless list of SaaS applications, Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, Workday, to name a few. There is probably another 30 more major applications that are being used by enterprises. All of these have some common underlying patterns. Each one of these SaaS applications are upgraded by the vendor at different times. So for example, Salesforce gets 3 massive upgrades, functional upgrades every year. Oracle gets 4. So that means there is periodic change from the vendor. And then on top of that, you as an organization have made changes to the software. So every change you have made have to be sometimes retested whenever there is a change to the underlying platform. So Salesforce implementation and regression testing is a common use case we see, as well as Oracle patch upgrade testing and implementation testing are the other use cases we see. In other words, in a typical enterprise, you see the full gamut of applications that can benefit from a low code application platform. And these are some of the common use cases. Now, let us see the significant difference between low code platform and why it delivers. This is a traditional platform and a traditional approach to automation. In this case, you have actually open source solutions as well as commercial solutions out there. The most commonly used open source solution is Java Selenium. And it's a very popular one, even though there are some new ones, Cypress and so on. Java Selenium is the most important and most dominant solution out there. One of the fundamental assumptions these traditional solutions have made is uh, the person who is the user they're targeting is a test specialist. A test specialist typically knows how to automate and is technical. He knows how to code, how to automate things. So they've designed it for that person. That's number one challenge. The second issue is even if you have a test specialist, it takes them many, many hours to create one script, sometimes as many as 5 to 8 hours. And it can take many, many hours to maintain a script whenever there is a change to that script. These three challenges are actually slowing down automation in many organizations. First challenge, you need to have a test specialist. Second challenge, it takes them, even if you have a test specialist, it takes them hours to create a script and hours to manage and maintain the script. Low code approach transforms testing completely. Here, you're going from test intent to test results. So a citizen developer or a citizen tester can actually express the intent in easy terms. And from that intent, whether they're expressing the intent in English or they're using a recording mechanism, if they simply express the intent of the scenario and all the rest of the things, the script generation, execution is all automated. That is the purpose of a low code solution, which is to cater to the need of a non specialist tester. Because it is machine generated code, it takes minutes to generate the code and it does instead of hours. So that's a big shift. Creation takes significantly less time. Finally, in many of the low code platforms, maintenance is free. What I mean by that is they have auto healing features where if there is a change to an XPath or a CSS selector because of some code change, it will automatically heal itself. That means no developer or tester has to go in and fix those scripts. They will heal themselves and removes the brittle scripts from the testing problem. So this is the key to low code, a good low code solution. This is how it transforms testing from manual repeated testing for citizen testers to a nice automation method that reduces their burden, improves the overall quality. Now, let us take a look at how an organization can journey from where do they start and how do they end up with scaling a low code solution across the enterprise. There are lots of details. For just simplification, I've provided 3 steps here. First is discover the needs of an organization, identify the citizen testers, and identify the target applications. This is a very crucial step. And then estimate the test debt and the test fatigue factor, right? The test debt is essentially what you would like to automate so that you can do regression tests, end-to-end tests with no human effort, no manual effort, versus what is automated today. So that is the test that, and you want to make sure you understand that. Also understand the budget needed for a traditional automation solution. Traditional automation solution is not free. You have spending a lot of human effort and also in some cases tools expenses. So you need to look at that and say, what are we spending today? And who are the citizen testers in our company? And what are the target applications based on the use cases I've already shared? Then develop some proofs. Pick one low code automation approach, apply it to one or two use cases, one or two projects, see the results, gather the ROI. Once you see the ROI, where anyone can now automate in a very cost effective manner and maintain the scripts for the life of the scripts with very little effort, the ROI becomes evident. Once you see the ROI for your organization, for your context, then it is time to scale up. So, how you scale up is you start looking at multiple projects and both in the custom application domain and SaaS application domain, and start applying the low code approach from the successful proofs you've already built. This is how you scale across the enterprise. So, this has been a brief introduction to the world of low code. I'm sure you have lots of questions. There is a SaaS Labs virtual booth that you can ask all your questions. You can also visit SaaS Labs website where we have plenty of case studies, detailed white papers, and lots of content. It's been my pleasure to participate in this event, and I wish you a successful journey into low code. Thank you.